was loud. But it's going to get even louder, so be ready for that. Hare Krishna, and thank you very much for taking your time off and being here with us, giving your time to Krishna, and being here with all of us on a Saturday evening. Thank you again. It is said that of all the sacrifices, chanting of the holy name is the purest form. Of representing the purest representation of Krishna. So let's open our hearts, let's get into it, let's chant loudly with Maharaj. We have with us His Holiness Bringa Govinda Maharaj, who's come here from the other side of the planet. He's come all the way from there. For most of us, we can only measure in miles and kilometers. But such elevated souls are coming from a completely different planet. That's my conviction, for sure. So I'd like to warmly welcome His Holiness Bringa Govinda Maharaj, and a little introduction. He's been practicing Krishna consciousness for the last 40 years. He's an initiating spiritual master, a governing body commissioner, and has inspired thousands of people all over the world. He's known for his lively chanting of the holy names and his ability to inspire and include all to participate. So we're extremely fortunate to have Maharaj here with us. It's been absolutely wonderful to have him here. And I'm extremely pleased to have him here. He will be here, I was just speaking with Maharaj. The program is supposed to be from 6 to 9 o'clock. It's a long time. Maharaj very nicely, very happily expressed, that he will be here with us. So please participate. Please open your hearts. Please, get into it as much as you can. And chanting in this mood of congregation, in this mood to be with everybody, is very, very exponentially, spiritually enriching. So thank you again. I'd also like to take this opportunity to solicit your support so that you can contribute in whatever capacity you can financially for this noble, the noble efforts of Maharaj. He's traveling constantly. He's all over the world. He's going from place to place. We would like for you to also do what you can, and whatever is possible within your financial capacity. And again, we have Preeti Mataji, who's sitting outside the doors. There's a table out there, so if you could, just make sure that you see her before the end of the program. That would be really wonderful. Thank you again, and I'd like to give a very warm welcome to Maharaj. I'm very happy and to be able to make this announcement, to be able to welcome him here. So with that, let's give him a loud round of Haribol. I'm told that Maharaj's CDs are also here, and so you don't want to miss out on that opportunity of taking one home. It is definitely going to be something that you will cherish for the rest of your life. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Anybody here have any small kartals? I went to Mauritius for the Kirtan Vela, and I had a pair of kartals for, gosh, 20 years or something like that. And I either lost them or somebody stole them or something happened to them. I don't have those kartals anymore. Who gave me these kartals? Did we cut that right there? Does anyone have a blade with them? And who did these belong to? Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu, Jagate, Desha, Kubika, Kanta, Bhakti Bringa Govinda, Radhe, Vrindavaneshwari, Vishwanu, Devi, Anamaham, Ananda Lila, Maya Vigrahaya, Namavidiva, Vishungaraya, Asmai, Mahaprema Rasapradaya, Chaitanya Chandraya Namaste, Chaitanya Chandraya Namaste. Vancha Papa Krupascha, Kripa Sindhu Devicha, Aditanam Paneyo, Vaishnayo Namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Bhakti Govinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'd like to thank Shivala Prabhu for his kind welcome, and I'd like to thank all the devotees at Naperville for inviting me to come to your service this evening. I guess we came to Naperville last year, but we were in a church, and this is your regular center. Very nice to be here with all of you. In fact, it's an honor for me to be here this evening and have your wonderful association Sometimes when I travel in foreign countries, when I go in and I meet the people, sometimes I'm a little nervous and I feel a little bit strange. But I'm not too nervous tonight because it's mostly Indians and Russians. And those are sort of my homies here. Traveling so much, people always ask me, where do you live? And I have a hard time answering that question. I mean, with devotees, I can say, you know, something and people understand. But the other day I met one doctor in Nashville. And he was like, where do you live? And I said, well, I live sort of in India and sort of in Central Asia and sort of in Dubai. And the person said, okay, that's enough. The doctor was a psychiatrist. And when I said that, he was thinking, maybe we should be admitting you rather than the person that you brought us to admit. I'm happy to be with you and happy to have the opportunity to come here and chant Hare Krishna with you. Sri Balaprabhu in his introduction, he mentioned that there are many sacrifices. I think this microphone has become too loud. Can you turn down some? Sri Balaprabhu mentioned that there are many sacrifices to be performed, and that the chanting of the holy names is the highest sacrifice. And this topic is spoken about spoken by Lord Krishna early on in the Bhagavad Gita. First he's with his friend Arjuna, and Arjuna is having a crisis. And Arjuna tells the Lord a lot of things to sort of rationalize why he's choosing to act in the way that he's choosing. And then he tells the Lord, he responds to Arjuna. Actually, Arjuna gets to the point where he's pretty frustrated. And does anybody know who Shiv Kumar Sharma is? Anyone? Aye. You're not doing Shiv Kumar Sharma. You must be all Americans. Shiv Kumar Sharma, he's a very famous, he's a master of Santur. Shiv Kumar. Yeah. Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma. Pandit, of course, he is. Many I can't remember where. It was during a period where if you took a flight in the morning, and the seat in front of you, they'd have the morning news. If you took a flight at 10 o'clock, they'd have like the mid-morning news. Can you remember that period in Indian aviation? Fly in the afternoon, they'd have like the afternoon news, and then they'd have like the evening news. I could never figure out why they were wasting so much paper. And so I was coming in on an afternoon flight, and I decided, well, let me look at it. So I started looking at the 2 or 3 page stuff about Bollywood and this, that, and the more. And then I saw one advert that said, at IIT in Delhi, there will be a classical performance this evening. There will be 2 artists. One artist will be Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma, and the other artist will be Birju Maharaj. Does anyone know Birju Maharaj? He's like the king, the ultimate king of the Kathak dancers. Are there any Kathak dancers here? Really Americans. No, probably you're South Indians, and you do Bharatanatyam. At Kathak they do more in the north. So, I had one student from Kazakhstan, her name was Banu Nandini. And Banu Nandini was studying Kathak dance in one institute in Delhi. And my Brajapasi disciple, Vrindavan Bihari, had driven up to Delhi to pick me up to Vrindavan. So first I phoned, before as soon as I got off the plane, I phoned Vrindavan Bihari. I said, we're going to IIT. And I phoned Banu and I said, I'm going to pick you and your mom up at your residence. And she said, Guru Maharaj, where are we going? I said, we're going to see Birju Maharaj. And she went, ah. It's like, she was very excited. So we went to IIT. We went into one theater they had there, and it was absolutely packed. I mean, it was totally packed. And there were student ushers. And when we walked in, one of the ushers came up to me and said, Maharaj, no more seats. He said, would you mind sitting on the stage next to Shiv Kumar Sharma? And I said, I think it'd be a very good seat. So lo and behold, they actually took us to the stage, and they were putting like the overflow people, like Panditji is just here where Sri Rupa was. And I was sitting right here, and I was thinking, gosh, I never had a seat in a concert better than this before. And he was such a gentleman. I mean, very cultured, very gentle. And he came out and he started speaking to the students. He was saying, I'm so glad that the university has organized this, that you students can stay in touch with our Indian culture. So he was speaking a bit like that. And right when he was speaking, in the back, when babies started going, the baby started crying. And Panditji, he paused. And he said, and I would humbly request that tonight, when I am playing my raga, if the young maestro begins to play his raga, maybe his manager could take him outside. Because his raga and my raga, they may not go together. And one time listening to Prabhupada, and the child started crying during Prabhupada's lecture, and Prabhupada's very softly, he said, please remove the child. And then after, Prabhupada said, are there any questions? And one reporter, he said, you're saying you're a Krishna conscious man? You're saying you're a self-realized man? That you become disturbed even when the baby is crying. And Prabhupada said, no, you misunderstood. He said, I will not become disturbed. But your mind is so out of control, you will become disturbed. So Arjuna was disturbed. And he said, Prabhu, I'm so messed up. I just surrender to you. Please instruct me. And at that point, the Lord said, well, you've been speaking so many words. But actually, it's foolishness that you're speaking. He said, you are anarya. You're not speaking like an Aryan. Because Aryans, they understand who they are. Aryans understand what is God. Aryans understand what is the goal of the life. You're not speaking in that way. So then the discussion began. Questions and answers. Questions and answers. And first he explained how he is the eternal soul. And then later he explained that there are different sacrifices that a person can do to wash his consciousness of all of these material ideas. So there are different types of sacrifices that are performed by different people. And then in one of the purports, his Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, he says, yes, there are many sacrifices, but in the Kali age, there's only one sacrifice. And he said that is the great sacrifice of chanting the Lord's holy names. And sometimes other people, like karmis or jnanis or yogis, when they hear that the only sacrifice is to chant the holy names, they say, oh, this is lesser activity because it is too simple. Now, you can chant the holy names, but you're not like studying for years and years and years and filling yourself up with jnana. The Karmi will say, we're chanting the holy names, but we're performing so many wonderful rituals, either for success in this life, or for the attainment of heaven in the next life. The Jnani will say, oh, we're filling ourselves up because we want to become nothing. Filling ourselves up with so much jnana because we want to have liberation. So chanting, your process of chanting, it's a lesser thing, it's not so important thing. The yogi, he will do so much tapasya. Really. So many austerities that we cannot understand. For what purpose? Simply to have some mystic power? Some siddhi? So chanting, it really must be something less. actual point is this. Chanting is the greatest sacrifice that can be performed, because through the process of chanting, our consciousness will become washed of everything except one thing. Our consciousness will become washed from our lustiness. Our consciousness will become washed from our anger. Our consciousness will become washed from our greediness. Our consciousness will become washed from our madness. Our consciousness will become washed from our envy. All those things will be washed away. But when everything is washed away, there will only be one thing there. And the one thing that will be there is the pure desire to selflessly serve Krishna. That's the only thing. The only thing that will be there is, I must have Krishna. It's like all of you are such good devotees. You all listen to Prabhupada. You read Prabhupada. Prabhupada says in this material condition, there are two symptoms. One is called ahankar, and the other is called ahamameti. So what is ahankar? What is it? Ahankar. He's having a senior's moment. Ahankar, I'm this body. False ego, I'm this body. I'm an American guy. He's a Russian guy. This is Indian guy. Oh, we need to get the psychiatrist again. Indian body, you know, maybe American operating system inside. You know. Ahankar means I'm this body, I'm something of this world, but we're not anything of this world. And then ahamameti, what does that mean? Ahamameti, mamata is possessiveness. Ahamameti, everything I see, I want. Everything I see, I want. I see a new car, oh, I want that. Young boy sees young girl, I want that. Young girl sees young boy, I want that. New iPhone comes out, I want that. Mamata, possessiveness. But when the heart becomes washed, possessiveness will still be there. But the only thing that you will want to possess will be Krishna. And this chanting is so powerful, and it's so pure, that when our consciousness will become washed, and that will only be what we want, then Krishna will give us a gift. And you know what that gift is that Krishna will give? He will give himself. Krishna will give himself to you. Krishna will become your servant. Krishna will become your friend. Krishna will become your son. Krishna will become your lover. Krishna literally gives you the highest gift, and that is himself. He says that in the Gita. Seems like every time I say something, Prabhu over here is registering so he can understand. In Gita he says, Yayata mam bhajante tam stataiva bhajami aham. Aham means I, bhajami, reward. Krishna says, I reward everyone. If the karmi holds something and does the ritual, Krishna will reward. If the jnani does something, Krishna will reward. If the yogi does something, Krishna will reward. If the bhakta is totally submissive to Krishna and very humbly and meekly follows the Lord's instructions and engages in the Lord's service, the Lord rewards. But it's an interesting thing to think of. Because we say Krishna is a person, correct? And Krishna has all qualities, correct? We are people, and we have qualities. God is infinite. We are infinitesimal. It means that if God has qualities, his qualities are like the absolute, extreme manifestation of qualities. So if we become submissive to Krishna, Lord Krishna's submission to his devotees is unlimited, it's absolute. Do you follow that point? Lord Krishna's highest quality is called prema vasya. It means that Krishna is submissive to love. He is submissive to the love of his devotees. So if the bhakta, now they may say, oh, chanting is lesser sacrifice, chanting is lesser process. But what are they going to get? They're just going to get some trinkets. But if the devotee learns this process of chanting purely and focusing the mind only on Krishna, Krishna becomes so submissive to that person that Krishna gives himself. He absolutely gives himself. Dhruva Maharaj, Kshatriya, he was offended. He became so angry. I don't want my father's kingdom. I don't want my grandfather's kingdom. I don't want what Brahma has. I want something more than Brahma. Boy, he had big desires. Big, big desires. He wanted so much. And he went to the forest, and he did tapasya, and then the Lord appeared before him. And what did Dhruva say? Dhruva said, Sthana Vilasi, Tapasi, Stitoham. Read this word stan. It means place. And we've been playing with this all day long because this gentleman here at the pier, this is Vrindavan Das. He is from Kyrgyzstan. And this lady sitting in the back here, this is Matureshwari. She is from Tajikistan. Has anyone ever heard of Tajikistan before? Tajikistan sits right on top of Afghanistan. So, in, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Braja and Sri Guru, they're from Kazakhstan. many of you people hail from Hindustan. One time I was in Tajikistan, I was giving class, and I was saying, in your culture, do you call brother by brother's name? Do you call mother by mother's name, father by father's name, uncle by uncle's name? They said, no, we have different titles for each person. I said, oh, like Indian culture. I said, here, I was trying to catch so many similarities between the Tajik culture and the Indian culture, and there are like thousands of similarities. And I said, Tajikistan and Hindustan. I said, like 2 rooms in the same house with toilet in between. So, Dhruva, he said, Stana Vilasi Tapasi Sitoham. I wanted a stan. And I did so much tapasya. So much tapasya. And it was severe tapasya. But he said, but now, Lord, I've seen you. And I understand now that I was just looking for broken pieces of glass, but you are a transcendental gem. So they may say, oh, you Bhakta is chanting Hare Krishna, you know. What is it? But Krishna gives himself. Krishna actually, he takes up residence in the heart of his pure devotee. For one who has given everything, Krishna gives everything about himself to that devotee. For one who becomes purified by the process of bhakti yoga based on chanting the holy name and hearing the glories of Krishna, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna gives the greatest gift. He gives himself. He becomes controlled by his devotees. And you all know Damodar Lila? Srila Shivaram Swami now is writing a book on Damodar Lila, and he was reading commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Said when Jasoda, when she first decided she was going to tie up the little badmash, she reached for a rope. The first rope she reached for, you know what it was? Vishwanath says she had her hair tied up. She had a little rope in her hair. She pulled that rope and said, I'm going to tie you up. She tried putting it around Krishna, it didn't work. Then all of her girlfriends were becoming amused. And she said, bring rope. Because they were all cowherd ladies, and there were so many ropes because they used to tie up the back legs of the cows when they're milking. Bring rope. So she kept tying everything together and tying everything together, and it became really big. But how can you tie up something that has no inside and it has no outside? How can you tie up something that has no beginning and it has no end? How can you tie up something that's everything and at the same time it's nothing? How can you do that? It's impossible. It's inconceivable. But his mother was thinking, I'm going to tie you up. And her girlfriends were just laughing more and more. What are you doing? And every time more rope would come, she tied, but it couldn't go around them. And then finally, Krishna was conquered. by his mother's, his mamata, his mother's possessiveness and love. And then what tied him up was the same little rope that she pulled from her hair. That's what tied him. He becomes a slave, practically speaking, of his pure devotee. Look how he loved Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad was such an ever-surrendered devotee. I was speaking today to the devotees. Like if you read Prabhupada, and if you listen to Prabhupada, who was one of Prabhupada's greatest heroes? Was Prahlad Maharaj. He loved Prahlad so much. Why? Because Prahlad was absolutely fearless. Because he was surrendered to the Lord, and he always knew the Lord will take care of me. He was fearless. He had unlimited compassion. Like when Prahlad's father had a psychological meltdown, they wanted to kill his son. He was doing so many bad things. Is anyone here from Vishakhapatnam? No one from You are. You are. Oh, very good. You know, there's a mountain there. The demons took Prahlad up to the top of that mountain. I think that's Pananishinga. Ah. They took Prahlad. You know, and we read about this. They threw him from the mountain, right? Now, I tried giving this example sometime outside of America. They can't understand it so much, but maybe here in America, you can understand it. When I was a younger devotee, I read that. I sort of thought that like they chucked Prahlad off the mountain, and then somebody sort of like, the Lord reached out with like a baseball glove on it. Caught him in midfield. But the Acharya said it wasn't like that. You know, the demons chucked him off the mountain, and he starts dropping, and dropping, and dropping, as the Lord. And what was it? It was the Lord testing Prahlad to see what he would do. You know, if Prahlad was going to go, Mommy. You know? Well, he wanted to see what Prahlad was going to do. Prahlad had no fear. He knew the Lord would save him. He didn't start crying anything. He didn't start saying anything else. He just knew that the Lord was going to save him. And then at the last fraction, very last fraction of a second of a moment, the Lord manifestly saved Prahlad. Job well done, Prahlad. When his father was all like psychologically messed up, you know, he would say something to Prahlad, and Prahlad would call him Asura Vardhana. Oh, best of the Asuras. He wasn't very diplomatic. He didn't go, oh, Pitaji. Oh, Papaji. You know, he said, oh, best of the demons, straight in his face. Had no fear. And his father couldn't tolerate it because Prahlad loved Vishnu, he loved Krishna. He couldn't tolerate it. And then finally his father had such a meltdown. He said, you're always talking about Vishnu, you're always talking about your God. Where is your God? Is he here? Is he here? Is he here? Is he here? No, first he said, we're trying to kill you. We can't kill you. Where are you getting your power? And without fear, he said, Father, I get my power the same place you get your power. So they get my power from Lord Krishna. I get my power from Krishna. Boy, his father really got crazy today. And he said, where is this Krishna? He's everywhere, Father. So is he here? Is he here? Is he here? Is he here? Is he in this column? Yes, Father, he's in the column. Because there's nothing which is separate from God. Only you don't have the eyes to see that. And his father said, then I will kill him. He took his sword and he hit the column, and Nishingadev came out. But Nishingadev did not come just to kill Hiranyakasipu. Why did Nishingadev come? He came to protect her life. In the Gita he says, Paritanaya sadhanam. I come to protect the sadhus. Vinashaya chaduskritam. And then I annihilate the demons. So much love he had, he came for this boy, for his pure devotee. In the Gita he says, if you always try to get your mind fixed in me, yogakshemam bahamyaham. Whatever qualities you have, I will maintain those qualities. And if you don't have qualities, I will personally give them to you. In the Gita he says, Manmana bhava, madbhakto, madjajimam namaskuru. Mam ivaisasi satyam te, pratijani priyos. You're different than the Indians in Dubai. Because any of these verses that I've been citing, as soon as you begin to say them, the whole congregation in Dubai, they recite the verses also. So he says, Manmana bhava mad bhaktam vajjajimam namaskuru. Mam ivaisas satyam te pratijani priyosine. He says, Arjun, just think of me with love. Become my devotee. Worship me. Offer obeisances to me. Fourth thing. And then he says something very, very beautiful. He says, Mam ivaisasi satyam te pratijani priyosine. Then he tells Arjuna, he says, Prabhu, you do these four things, and then with all the truthfulness of my heart, I make a promise to you. He says, Pratijani, Pratigna, I make a promise to you. And that promise is you do these things, you do these simple things, I will bring you to me. And then he, in conclusion, he said, and why? Priyo sine. Because you become my lover. You become dear to me. So that's Krishna. A karmi, he can't impress Krishna. A jnani cannot impress Krishna. A yogi cannot impress Krishna. In the heart, the karmi, the jnani, and the yogi, they all have something. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want mystic power. I want liberation. I want Svargaloka. I want all these different things. In the heart of the bhakta, there's only one thing. I want Krishna and I want to serve him purely. And because of that, he says, Priyo Sime, you're my lover. I take you to me. Do not worry. Pratigna, I promise you. Krishna is such a wonderful person. He says, I live in the hearts of my devotees. My devotees live in my hearts. not only do I live in the hearts, not only do I live in the hearts of my devotees, but if a person is my devotee, then I will also live in the heart of his devotees and his devotees and his devotees and his devotees. It's like Lord Narayan, he told Durvasa Muni, he said, try to understand, you made a mistake with Ambarish Maharaj, but he's my ever surrendered devotee. I live in his heart. I love him so much, but I live in his heart. He said, you don't know how much I love my devotees. You don't know how much I love Prahlad. He looked at Durvasa Muni and he said, Prabhu, think. He said, one time, demons were becoming hyperactive. They were winning all the games that season. Demigods were in a big mess. And, Indra, he was getting afraid that he was going to lose his gati. So they came to me and they said, Lord, we got to do something. And they said, the king of the demons, Bali, he's becoming too strong, correct? So then Lord, he started thinking, what can I do? So Bali lived in Sutala Loka. And Lord, he went down to Sutala Loka. But he showed himself as a young Brahmin boy, correct? Vamandev. And Bali was a Dharmic king, though he was a demon. And he saw the boy and he said, my dear Brahmin, can I give you something in charity? And the Brahmin boy said, oh, sir, if you just give me 3 steps of land, I will be satisfied. And he said, please take it. And so with his first step, he covered from bottom of universe to middle planetary systems. Second step, he covered upper planetary systems. One more step was left. He looked at me and said, Maharaji, you owe me one more step. Where do I put? And he said, please, put your foot on my head. And he became Atma Nivedanam. He gave everything he had to the Lord. And they said, Maharaj, what would you like? And Bali Maharaj said, I would like for you to remain here in Sutala Loka and be the doorkeeper. So that whenever I go out, I will have your darshana. And because he wanted the Lord. And because the Lord is so indebted to his ever-surrendered devotees, he said, fine, I'll stay here. And then the Lord told Durvasa Muni, he said, you remember later on, another big conflict started, and the Devtas were really having a hard time because the Asuras were moving in. And so you headed, he said, you headed a delegation, a big delegation. You came down to Sutala Loka. And you said, Lord, Asura's giving a hard time. Can you please come and help? He said, can you remember that, Durvasa? Why can't you remember? When you asked me to come and help, I said, no. And you said, but why? And I replied, because I'm bound by the love of Bali Maharaj. He said, but you can ask Bali. And if Bali says it's okay, then I'll go. And they asked Bali. And he said, sir, can he come? And Bali said, no. And he said, why? Because I love him. That's the only reason I love him. Durvasa Muni was listening to that. And then the Lord said, Durvasa, do you think I really stayed down there just because he gave me 3 steps of land?
Do you think I really stayed down there because he enticed me in some way? I stayed down there because he's the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, who's my most dear devotee. And I love Prahlad, and I live in his heart. And because Bali is his grandson, I live in his heart, and I live in the hearts, and I live in the hearts, and I live in the hearts. So that is what can be attained through the sacrifice of talking the Holy Name. So now, as far as talking is concerned, I will pull the zipper on my lips, and we will chant the holy names. Thank you all very much for being tolerant. And we will put Sri Rupa to the test. Last night almost she had a nervous breakdown when I have a humble request. When we're chanting, let us all remember we should try to hear every syllable that's being chanted. When I'm singing, try to hear every syllable. When you're singing, try to hear every syllable. Just try to keep mind focused. And if Krishna sees all of us are trying our level best on this evening in Naperville, perform the sacrifice nicely, then what will happen? Krishna will reciprocate. Ye yata mam pajante tam stataiva vijamyam. Krishna will reward and Krishna will give us wonderful spiritual blessings. So please try to remain focused. And we may chant slowly for a while. We want everybody just to try to become very accustomed to what's going on. If it's too warm, maybe some windows could be open. Is it too warm for anyone, or is it good for everyone?
Turn up the air conditioning, Maharaj.
Oh, very good. Generally, I do not like air conditioning, but this is required. Okay, Hare Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Krishna Sarvabhauma Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama, Rama, everybody together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare
Hare
sing very loudly so Kishore will hear this. Come on, man. Hare beautiful form of Kishore Kishore. Keep in mind, thanks for the beautiful form of Radhe Shyam. And now chant our holy names. Everyone together. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Hare